Hello, Grumps. Right, so Trump's back at the UN. First time in 6 years, and it went about as well, an escalator breaking down halfway, which, funnily enough, actually happened. You couldn't write it really, could you? He turns up to lecture the world about being dysfunctional while literally stuck on the stairs. That's symbolism for you. Doesn't get much better than that. So let's dig into what he said, and why people are scratching their heads, and why we should all have a stiff drink before trusting international institutions ever again. So he struts up there, chest out, like a bloke walking into a pub he got barred from years ago. Did you miss me? No, mate, we didn't. He kicks things off by saying the UN is weak, useless, ineffective, and all talk. Empty words and strongly worded letters, he said. Which, fair enough, it probably is. The UN is basically a group chat that nobody reads. But coming from Trump, it's a bit rich really, isn't it? Like being lectured on loyalty by a man with 3 ex-wives. And of course, the teleprompter failed as well. That's classic really, so he blames the UN for that. The UN, who immediately went, excuse me, we don't do teleprompters. Next, he'll be blaming NATO for his Wi-Fi dropping out. So what topics did he cover? Well, he says, and I quote, I ended 7 wars that nobody could end. I mean, that's the sort of thing you hear in a gym where someone's bragging about bench pressing. I mean, which wars is he talking about? Because nobody knows. Maybe he just pressed pause on a History Channel documentary and called it a day. Then he talked about immigration, a polarising subject at the best of times. According to him, migration is destroying countries, and he calls immigration and green energy policies a double-tailed monster that's infecting Western Europe. What is he watching at night? Godzilla versus the Home Office? And on climate change, well, he hates it. He calls green energy a scam and wind turbines pathetic. He says renewables kills jobs. Right, because burning coal has always been a long-term employment scheme, hasn't it? Some of our ancestors were chimney sweeps and their dads before them, and if Donald has his way, our kids will be too. That's progress. And of course, the doom and gloom. Your countries are being ruined, your borders destroyed, your heritage is under attack. He sounds like the world's angriest tour guide. On your left, there's devastation. On your right, there's immigrants. And straight ahead, there's a wind turbine laughing at you. It's all so dramatic. You half expect him to pull a violin out and start playing it while the UN burns. But this is where I get confused, because this is all words without substance and without solutions. For instance, his claim about ending 7 wars, because war isn't like turning off a light switch, is it? Sometimes wars don't end because someone says stop. Sometimes they drag on for decades. If you end a war just by tweeting about it, well, that's quite a trick. And blaming the UN for everything is fine, but if the UN is so useless, why is nearly every country still paying dues, sending delegates and bothering with international diplomacy? You don't keep showing up at a club unless you think the club does nothing. Unless, of course, you're just there for the free biscuits at the end of the meeting. And the green energy criticism. It's true that some policies are poorly implemented, some tech is expensive, and that some rhetoric overshoots. But to call all green energy a scam is like saying all shoes are terrible because you once got a blister from one pair. Yes, cost matters, efficiency matters, but dismissing entire fields is just lazy. So let me paint you a picture. Imagine a second-hand car salesman, but the car is the world. And he's trying to sell you the idea the engine's fine, so just ignore the dents, the smoke, the steering wheel that falls off sometimes. He says, trust me, I ended 7 wars. Meanwhile, somewhere under the hood, things are still vibrating and leaking. Or, it's like going to a group therapy session for global issues. Climate change, migration, war, all of those things. And one person stands up, knocks over the chair and yells, you've all been useless, I did everything. Then the therapist says, but you weren't even here half the time. That's the vibe I got. Then there's the escalator fiasco. Picture him stepping onto the escalator, which stops halfway. The audience gasps, Melania flinches, and he looks down and thinks this escalator symbolises bureaucratic failure. Maybe he should have blamed gravity. He could have made a whole metaphor about the weight of global expectations. So why does this speech matter? Because words at that level do have consequences. When a person in that position says your country is going to hell, others will believe it or fear it. Leaders will respond and policies may shift, borders may tighten, cooperation may erode. Criticising your allies so openly and accusing global institutions of betrayal or complicity, that doesn't exactly build trust. For some audiences, this kind of speech boosts popularity. For others, it underscores the gap between rhetoric and reality. When claims are inflated, the disappointment when the truth emerges is just amplified, isn't it? If the UN is painted, by the US no less, as irrelevant or corrupt or feckless, other countries may reduce cooperation or invest less in participation, and that could degrade what little efficiency remains. I'm not saying everything in his speech was without value. He raises issues people care about: migration, national identity, energy costs. Those are legitimate debates. But when you throw everything into the same fire and claim your country is ruined if you even think about renewable energy, nuance goes out of the window. The world is connected. Wars, climate, migration, none of them stop at borders. The UN, for all its faults, remains one of the few forums for multilateral response. So tone it down. You don't need to call everything a disaster. Maybe acknowledge some successes and some of the failures as well, but don't just criticise everything. So that's it. Trump came, he ranted, he roasted, he blamed, he boasted. Some legitimate concerns hidden in grandiose hyperbole, some rhetorical fireworks, some technical excuses. The speech will be remembered not necessarily for world-changing policy, but for its tone, its claims, and its spectacle. Whether any of it actually changes the course of anything, I don't know. Maybe, maybe not, probably not. What we should take from this is when people in power speak so often in absolutes, like your country will fail if you don't do this, that or the other, always ask, show me the evidence, and check who paid for the escalator. And that's the image that sums it up for me. Trump on that escalator, stuck halfway, fuming. That's his foreign policy, always moving, never arriving, stuck between floors shouting. Hit the like button if you've enjoyed this rant and leave your comments below. And if you didn't like it, fine, blame the UN. They're apparently in charge of everything now. Bye for now, Grumps.